And in our research, we are interested especially in external representations because the main objective of our research is to design physical and digital resources connected to the permanent resources for grammar school students to reduce their difficulties in learning solid geometry and to support the development of their spatial visualization. So, how I said before that these elements are interconnected, so we would like to be interested in external representations, and in this way we would like to support the development of the rest of these elements of spatial visualization. So, how I said we would like to create or develop these resources, and we would like to create them according to findings from our pre-survey. We made pre-survey the last year. We started in September and we finished this February. And in the first part, we were interested in the analysis of didactic resources used by these grammar school students at 3 grammar schools, and the total number of students is 98. So in the first part, the students filled in a questionnaire. We were interested in general informations, and also we divided the solid geometry topic in 3 subtopics, we can say. So we are talking about relative positions and the relationships of objects in the space, cross-sections of the cube, volume and surface areas of solids. And we were interested especially in resources, so because when we want to create some material, we need to know which material or which resources we have in disposal, also at home and also at school. So, and these are the main topics which we were asking them. And the second part, the students made one standardized test, spatial ability test, and we were interested in the level of spatial visualization. This test is composed of 3 subtests. The first one is relative positions. So students had to find out what is the relation between lines and the plane. In the second part, the name is snake in a cube. So we can see 3 perspectives. So the front, right, and the top. And the students had to draw a snake in a cube in space. And the last part is 2 parts of the cube. And now, what about the results? I can say that we are in the process, so we have only some partial results until now because it's only 2 months. But we started to create the material, and now I would like to offer you one example of our material based on the spatial results. Like the first part, or first type of examples, we are interested in non-cross section of a cube. So it means that from our point of view, the students don't have to immediately start to cross cubes in classrooms, but we think that they would like to, or they should find the basic characteristics, and they can think about the problem. This is the example of our first task. This is the applet. So the students have the first one part of the cube, and they have to choose one of these 4 parts to find out the second part of the cube. And we would like to use also these digital resources, which are applets in GeoGebra, and also physical resource. And what is, for example, very interesting, then we would like to compare which advantages and disadvantages we can see when we use digital resource or physical resource. For example, now we can see that this part, green part, could be the second part of the cube in this position. But then when we manipulate and we can use translation, we can see that this green part, it isn't correct. And also, for example, here we can see the printing part of the cube. And for example, when we compare digital and physical resource, we can see that this part in this position, how we can saw before, can't be without any support because this is the rubber. So without this rubber, the cube is fall down. For example, this is only one small example, which we can see that there is a difference. And when we can manipulate, we can also see that, of course, this part couldn't be the second part of the cube. And for example, what is very good for us, that the students can also manipulate. And for example, in this case, they can see that this part is non-cross section of the cube because here there is no plane, for example. And from this applet, the students could continue to the next one. For example, also in this applet, they can observe some basic characteristics and also note that, for example, when we ask them what is the cross-section of the cube, many of them at the beginning usually respond that there is the triangle. But for example, then when can use this applet, they can see that the triangle is not the correct answer because, for example, with this help, the point starting to move around the perimeter of the cube, and then also can play the construction step by step, and this could be like one of the possibilities or support how they can also develop their spatial abilities and also spatial visualization, and how to achieve knowledge of spatial visualization or solid geometry from different perspectives. So thank you for your attention.